Of course, Nati Shazi again from Power 10 News. For the first time, my question won't be directed to Mr. Malik. It'll be directed to Mr. Floyd Shivambu. Mr. Deputy President, my question for you is, I just wanted to find out, is there life for the EFF after Malema? And this question is not an indictment to the current leader of the EFF. Mr. Malema is often a very good leader, you know, he's very persuasive and he's done his duty as a leader to grow the party. But my question is, you know, you're often touted as the next CIC in waiting, you're touted as the brains of the organization, and you're heading into the third elections, and growth is vital for the party to remain strong. But my question is, will the EFF be able to survive without Malema at the helm? And take the organization forward, because even with the successful rally that you guys hosted, the thing that remains in people's minds is Malema. It's always Malema and not the organization. So my question, Mr. Floyd Shivambu, do you see the EFF surviving without Malema in the long run? Thank you very much.
Hi, Tom Sokol again from Eyewitness News. So just a matter of clarity for me, that's all. In the tweet that the EFF released was a statement. I think there was over 400, about 430 of the public representatives who didn't get transports. But I believe the president just said that only 210 have been recalled. So I just want to, if you can just clarify that discrepancy. Thank you.
Okay, there again with the SABC. Mr. Malema, you spoke about the institutions, for instance, referring to SAB and the Public Protector's Office. I'm always interested in knowing from politicians in South Africa, what kind of public protector would you prefer to be in office? I mean, I'm saying this against the backdrop of what some people have observed, especially with the few public protectors that we had in the past, starting from the advocate William Adwanzel, who at some point was criticized by all in Sunday, only because there was a finding against a president of the ANC. And then came in advocate Busisiwe Mkhweba. Again, there is a finding that he has against the president of the ANC. And Kolega Kalega, again, there is a finding that he has against the president of the ANC. And Kolega Kalega advocate made a finding in support of the president or in favor of the president of the ANC, and recently, or for some reason, has become a darling. So the question is, what makeup of a public protector would you prefer as the EFF? And I didn't think about the Chamisa and the EFF. I know you're a political hack, you should know that. I mean, in mathematics, it's only where we have therefore, but in politics, therefore, there is nothing like 2 plus 2, it's 4. 3 plus 1. Thank you,
That
sir.
guy asked you a special question.
I know I'm coming.
He wants to hear from the press.
Do you know the EFF is going to outlive all of us?
Do you know the EFF is going to outlive?
Oh.
Oh, sorry. Oh, but I've got it. Thank you.
Look, the economic freedom fighters is going to outlive all of us. It has gained a life of its own even now. So even what you are saying, the president is leading excellently the organization and is doing extremely very well. In a very decisive, focused, and inspirational, persuasive way. But the organization is growing. Like you know, this Ipsos research company generated a report which they presented to all of us to illustrate that when we participated in the first elections, the individual leaders of the EFF, because the organization was still young, were much more popular than the organization. But it is now a different story. The organization has gained a life of its own. Look, in the recent past, this past week, in the University of South Africa, 43,000 students, where we are not involved, none of us here, in the campaigns of the Student Representative Council elections. And 43,000 people voted for the EFF student commands without our participation. So this organization is far, far, far much bigger than all of us as individuals. And that is the organization which we founded 10 years ago, that it's an economic emancipation movement that is not just about its individual leaders. It's not a private organization. It's an organization of the people. It's an organization which we are going to bequeath to future generations to emancipate ourselves from the neo-colonial dominance of the West. And that is what this organization is all about. So if there's one thing which we are rest assured and we confidently know, is that this EFF is going to outlive all of us. So that is, I mean, it's finding expression in other parts of the African continent. In Namibia, we've got the economic freedom fighters, which ascribes to our leadership here in South Africa. They've got members of parliament in Namibia. We have never been to Namibia to campaign for the EFF. So the EFF is an idea which is long overdue, and it's relevant for the lives of our people. And one thing for sure, in which we are 100% convinced, and we know, is that it is going to outlive all of us in terms of what happens. So that is the organization that it's an instrument in the hands of our people. It's a fighting weapon that will inspire many generations to come to fight for economic emancipation. Thank you very much, President.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. You see, the problem is that mani hleli nje linqokola wena uthatha izinto zakunqokola uziletha nqokola nje uthi umalema niyanqokola wena nabangani bakho niyanqokola, and then you want to make us part of that, because if you use science, the research of Ipsos said the EFF is now more popular than Malema. It's in the research. So, Mara, you know, Ringchi Mola Stupu, Mola 15, go Alexander, we go music. I don't want Malema. Then Unana, no, that is science. It's done. This is what people are saying. Arshumishan science, Lemo Power FM, Reverend science. 400 to 200 because the report was released, names were released, and then people were given an opportunity to argue their case. And I said to you now, there was a person just this morning who came to argue her case. If it was indeed proven beyond a reasonable doubt that this person is right, we wouldn't be sitting with 210. It would have been 209 because she must be removed from the list. So we announced the names. You know, one of the things we found is that some of the councillors in the Eastern Cape, they have 3 months without being paid because municipalities don't have money and salaries are not paid. So such people get removed. That you can't expect such a person without their own income to now go and look for buses for the EFF. They are concentrated on trying to resolve their immediate issues. There's quite a number of such cases, and others where there were administrative discrepancies by administrators, because now it is the SG who's directly interface with people to want to hear what is your story, if you have a story to tell. And then you make your case, and then a decision is made to that effect. So that's where the number then got reduced from 400 to 210. We are likely to even have less than that, because as people are going to be receiving letters and being told you have to resign. I mean, there was a guy called Chico. Is it Chico Mkwanas? This one was saying to me, Mkwanas didn't. The whole meeting at CCT. This morning, the SG comes and says, no, Mkwanas paid a bus and paid it in April. He produced a proof here. The confusion was that they got a collective quotation of 57,000. And then he paid his portion in the 57. His bus was 12,000. So they looked at the POP of 12,000 vis-a-vis the quotation of 50,000 and said, no, this doesn't make sense. So he came and said, no, look at this. This is us. And then each one of us in this 57 pays this much, and this is my portion. Fortunately, the bus company, we used it. Then we're able to communicate with the bus company, and they said, no, that's authentic, we know that, and all of that. Then his name goes off. That's how I'm convinced this morning, because the thing with our people is that the more serious you become, they too start coming out, or demand is just talking. Let me send my stuff. So it's not the lesser number we get, the more happier we are. We don't want this. We don't want it. That's why we kept on making all types of noises for these comrades to comply. So it doesn't, we don't rejoice in this. But there has to be mandate and accountability. We want a public protector that will just comply with the public protector's laws and not be involved in politics. There were public protectors, that's why you are starting before, starting with Thuli Madonsela. There were public protectors before. There was never any problem of that sort and anything of that. So Thuli Madonsela made her reports. Her reports were challenged in courts, and she won. And then that was it. We want a public protector that will take decisions, and those decisions must still be challenged. Whether she wins or she doesn't win, there is a recourse. But stick to the rules. Don't be political as a public protector. From where I'm sitting, in all of those interviews, there's no single one who qualifies. By just listening to all those interviews, where our TG performed very well in trying to interrogate those people in the best interest of our country, nothing came out. The ANC tried. Even wabajo mungwari public protector upatela sasa beneficiaries. I don't know if the ANC did it deliberately in an attempt to make Koleka shine, but she could not shine with the understanding and interpretation of the law. She couldn't. For a young person who should, because of age, do not have a history of struggle credentials and anything of that sort, if you want to engage in that space, it is your intellectual understanding of the law which must make you look smart, and everybody should say, this is the one. So no one, if they get anyone, it will be out of Oppenheimer's instruction that this is the one we are taking. But none of those people there can get a 2/3 majority. I can tell you now. If we were to follow the line of questioning of the DA, of the EFF, of the opposition parties, none of those guys qualify to get a 2/3 majority. Look, the DA goes into its conference and declares us enemy number one. They go into their coalition things to the moon. On their way to the moon, they declare us enemy number one. When you declare people enemy number one, it means you are in war with them. The DA has declared war against the EFF. And in this Central Command team, we have accepted the invitation to war by the DA. We're not scared of the DA. We're not scared of the Action SA. We're not scared of the Oppenheimers. We're not scared of anyone who has invited us to the war. We are here today to accept the war and to accept that we're enemy number one of the white monopoly capital. And we will not be defeated. The DA will never defeat us. The ANC will never defeat us. So the DA should know that the invitation to war has been accepted. We have never declared war against anyone. We were doing politics and saw everybody as a political opponent rather than an enemy. But since we are an enemy now, let's go to the battlefield. 2024 will separate boys from men, girls from women, because the DA thinks that it can defeat the EFF. The white capital has invited you, the ground forces of the EFF, to war. It's up to you to decide if you want to be defeated or not. As the ground forces of the EFF, we have a responsibility to defend the movement on the ground. And you do that by winning votes. Let's defeat the DA and defeat the handlers of the DA. We must make sure that whatever happens, the numbers of the ANC and the EFF combined go beyond 55%, so that this DA can never constitute government without the EFF, and the ANC can never constitute government without the EFF. Someone said, we are the kingmakers. We are not the kingmakers. We are the king. Thank you.